What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Logisticalstyles coming at you with another video, and today we are doing a comparison video. I'm going to be comparing two products, the Akai AMX and the Numark DJ2Go2 Touch, and see which one makes sense as a better backup device for me to carry along with me in my backpack when I go out to gigs. If you're an established DJ or a veteran DJ, you know how important it is to have a backup for as many of the different pieces of gear that you have. They each serve a different purpose, but you want to be able to have something to take its place in case something goes wrong. That's under ideal situations. We don't always have the opportunity to have a duplicate or another replacement on hand, but whenever possible you should try to do that. And this even goes for your laptops. I've been in situations where the sun was causing my MacBook Pro to overheat, and I was able to pull out my Surface laptop and continue to gig on from that because I had a backup. And one thing that a lot of DJs should be thinking about is having a backup console or a backup set of decks when they go out to play. Decks can go bad, your controller can go bad, whether it's a cable, always have backup cables. But if you don't have backup cables, that could be a problem. So you want to be sure that you take these things into consideration when you're loading up your backpack or your crates, whatever that you're taking out to your gig. Now, for the longest time, I've been using the Akai AMX as my backup deck and controller because one, it is a controller. It's not a mixer. It's actually a controller, an interface that allows me to control Serato DJ. It actually opens up the program completely when I hook it up with a USB cable. And I also had used it mainly because it allows me to hook up a pair of decks, my Technique 1200s. I could hook up to here, and you can also, I believe, hook up a pair of CDJs as well and use them to control Serato DJ as well. But even without your external decks, you can still use this device as a controller standalone because it has a play, pause button, it has cue buttons, it has your full mixer controls such as your high, mid, low, your gain, your volume sliders, a filter knob. These knobs are actually touch capacitive, so they can do other things instead of just the function that's labeled. It's not just a bass or a treble or mid control, it's also a kill. If you have the touch capacitive feature turned on, when you touch these knobs, that kills that frequency. If you use the filter knob, it gives you a filter roll as well. So that's a great thing about this device. It has some really cool features. It also allows you to scroll through your library and to load songs onto your different decks. So it's really handy as a controller, as a backup device. I've always had it in my book bag with me in case anything went wrong with my controller. I could still get through the night using this and my laptop. Well, recently, I know I'm a little late to the game, but the Numark DJ2Go2 came out not too long ago, probably at the beginning of the year, and it made a lot of noise because it's such a dope controller and a small, compact, and basic controller, and it does just what you need and can get you through the night to doing a gig while you're doing a gig if something goes wrong. It's really cool. You have your USB, a micro USB input. It has a headphone jack. It has another output jack for your mains, and you've got short pitch controls, but they're short, but they are functional. You've got your jog wheel, which is really what sets us apart from the AMX. You have the ability to scroll through and go through a song as if you had your jog wheels from your turntables or your decks. You have dedicated cue buttons. You have dedicated play, pause button, cue button like you also find on the AMX. And then you have different pad modes. This is really cool that the AMX doesn't have, but you can switch through the different pad modes to go from your looping to whether it's auto looping or manual looping, and your samplers, so you can drop your samples as well from this device. That's pretty cool for the price point. This thing right here goes for about $80. You can get it on Amazon. If you watch if you look in the description, you'll see I have my affiliate Amazon link. Yes, I do get a little commission from the sales of these things if you use my link. So please try to use that and help support the channel. I don't have a link for the Akai AMX because the Akai AMX is actually technically it's discontinued. So that's one thing that is a compromise. If you use this as your backup gear, you're using a piece of equipment that is discontinued and no longer support. Well, it is supported and it does work with the software, but it's discontinued. So, it can only go downhill from there as far as this type of support that you'll get. Whereas this is brand new pretty much, and Numark is readily available to support it if you have any questions about it. But this is a very basic piece of equipment, so I don't imagine you'll have a whole lot of questions. It really works well with Serato DJ Pro, and also works right out the box with Virtual DJ as well. You hook it up, it tells you that it's detected this device, and you can go right through scrolling and everything works as you would expect it to. There's not a whole lot of buttons on it, but the buttons that are there, they work as expected on either platform. I did try to use this with the DJ Pro app on my iPad, but I had read recently that there are some changes that the new updates from Apple have come out, and it's caused the device to not work with the iPad. You get an error message where it says that there's not enough power to support this device, even though I have the camera kit, which allows me to plug in an additional power cable into the kit to give this device enough power. Maybe that's a thing that needs to be fixed with an update or whatever, but hopefully they will bring back support for me to be able to use this along with DJ Pro on my iPad. But when you use it with Serato DJ Pro or even Virtual DJ, it works perfectly fine right out the box. I actually, when I first got it, I opened it up and I hooked it up to this Harbinger speaker right here, and I had it in my driveway, was out playing music, mixing music as I was, just working in the yard, cleaning my car. And it's a really neat device. It's a lot of fun to play with. Yes, you can do some kind of baby scratching with it as well. Just depends on how nimble you are with your fingers. If you've never scratched before, it's going to be very difficult for you to scratch with, but if you are familiar with scratching, you can probably do a little something with it. But the main feature that I like about this is it gives you full tactile control over the music while you're playing it. So you can touch the platter and rewind the song without having to touch the mouse on your laptop or the trackpad. You can do all that from here. With the Akai AMX, you can't really do that. There are no decks for you to spin on, no virtual decks for you to touch and spin around. Even though you can hit the shift button and use the gain knob to adjust the pitch control, and then you can also use it to scroll through the songs. It's not very intuitive. It's not something I would imagine myself using a lot. I mean, I only use this pretty much when I have decks available. That way I can touch the music and scratch and mix and cue stuff up the way I'm used to. So if I had to choose between the two, I would say that the DJ2Go2 is now going to be my new backup solution, because it allows me to be able to touch the music like that. But not just that, it also has dedicated cue points. With the Akai AMX, I had to go into Serato and map certain buttons that I didn't use to allow them to be cue points. And in this case, for me, I was only able to map 4 different buttons to give me 2 buttons per channel. So there's this 1 and 2 button. I was able to go in and map those to be cue points. And then the actual cue button itself, I mapped those to be cue points. So I have cue point 1 and 2, but anything beyond that, I just don't have. So on the Numark DJ2Go, I have 4 dedicated cue point buttons. So that's not a whole lot compared to what you get for bigger mixers or whatever, but when you think about, for me, I'm coming from a Numark Scratch as my main mixer. That only has 4 cue pads as well. So it's not unheard of, or it's not, a big problem for me. I ideally would like to have 8 cue points available, but on a device this small, you really can't expect to have that. It's cool that you also have the ability to get into your queuing with your headphones. You've got volume for your headphones. You've got the master volume. Instead of sliders like you would see on a traditional mixer or controller, they give you knobs for the level. But that's cool. I've actually found that it's not that much of an issue to have the rotary knob versus the slider for your volume control. The only thing that I don't like about this versus the AMX is the cable or the connection that they use. Instead of using this one, the AMX uses like what you can consider a printer cable, the boxy end, and this one has the I believe this is the the mini USB connection, the old school mini USB. They still use that on this device. Haven't had any problems with it disconnecting, but this is brand new for me, so we'll see how well it holds up over time. But I've already placed the order for the case that I'm going to be using for this. I'll put a link to that in the description as well, and you'll be able to see it. But like I said, this is a great device for the price. I paid about $80. Actually, I got a little bit of a discount because I had some Amazon credits saved up. But even at full price of $80, this is definitely something I think DJs should have in their backpack and be ready to use in case of an emergency. Or if you even get that small gig, or not even a gig, somebody in your family wants you to come and play some music at the barbecue and you don't want to bring your gear out like that, you can hook this up to a portable speaker and just flip through your songs and play like that. And you can do the same thing with this, but the form factor just isn't there. This right here versus this, I like this, the Numark device, because it sits right on my laptop. It can fit right where my trackpad is, right over there, and I can play from there. Versus this, you have to stick it out a little bit more. You need a little bit more space on the table. Now, I still love this device, and I will continue to use it with my other set of turntables that I have set up over there. And I will probably bring it out occasionally if I have to, even possibly with the Range 12s, depending on the gig or the environment that I'm in. So it's different variables that cause you to bring out different equipment. So at the end of the day, what's my decision? I'm gonna go with, I will be using the Numark DJ2Go2 Touch as my new backup device for just carrying around with me in my bag. I like the Akai AMX. I've used it for many years. I think I've had this device right here for about 5 years now, so I can definitely attest to how rugged it is, how durable and dependable it is. But the way my gigs go now and the situations I find myself in, I think that this would be a better backup for me to have, or even not just as a backup piece of gear, but for the piece of gear that I can pull out and play music in a pinch when I'm just there for a short period of time. I found myself in different situations where I ended up DJing for a short period, like maybe a 10-15 minute set, but having this here with my laptop makes it a lot easier for me to just be able to plug right into a mixer and go off and play and do what I need to do, versus this, which is, it still allows me to do that. I could do it, I could hook it up and play off of this in the laptop, but the cabling would be a little bit different and it just takes up a little bit more space on the table versus the Numark mixer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to use this, but it's going to be more of a home piece for me. I'm going to use it with my Techniques over there, and I may even pull it out with the Range 12s depending on the gig that I'm doing. Sometimes it might be nice to have the small footprint of the Akai AMX versus a bigger Numark Scratch, or even another bigger mixer. So they all have their purpose and they all will continue to be used because they have proven themselves. But this is the new kid on the block, the Numark DJ2Go Touch, and I highly recommend it. And if you want to get information on how to purchase it, you can look at the link in the description below. And also, if you are enjoying what you're seeing on this channel, please make sure you subscribe. We are trying to build this up into a great community of knowledge sharing and product reviews and other tutorials. So continue to watch the video, subscribe so you can get the notifications, and until next time, I'm out.